Hi there, Charmaine here with another video. Once again, we are adding another handmade paper video here on my channel. And in this video, I will be showing you how I made these cute round handmade papers, which I made using a makeshift mold and deckle. And I used these plastic embroidery hoops. Embroidery hoops are easier to find or easier to source from your local craft store or any shop online, and they're actually pretty affordable too. If you haven't yet, do click subscribe, turn on notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. In this video, we won't be deep diving into the fundamentals of paper making. If you found this video and you were searching for like the basics, you can go check out my handmade paper making playlist. I will link it in the description below. Rather, I will just touch base with the entire process from start to finish, but I will focus more on using the embroidery hoop as the mold and deckle. So for this particular paper making process, I'm using these offcuts from April. I didn't film the whole process, but if you want to see the water to paper ratio, check out my other video. There is no exact measurement really, but I just make sure to add enough water for the whole blender to run without much resistance. If you don't have a blender, that's not a problem. I also have a no blender paper making video that you can check out. And if you're wondering, I actually use paper scraps to add color to my pulp. So I actually am thinking about making a video discussing how I add colors to my pulp. Let me know if that's something that you'd like to see here on my channel. So I got this embroidery hoop from 862394701.ph. It is a shop on Shopee, and these are 9cm embroidery hoops that are plastic. They are about 39 pesos each, and then I bought two and I had a 40 pesos shipping, so the total was 118 pesos. So that's just roughly about $3 USD, including shipping. So you will need two to create your makeshift mold and deckle. So I'm not certain what they're actually called, but for the sake of this video, let's call it the inner hoop and the outer hoop. The outer hoop is the one with the screw. So just separate both hoops, and then I actually used this plastic mesh. This is the same mesh. So this is a fiberglass mesh that I use for the mold and deckles that you see me use in my other videos. This one isn't new actually. I just reused this from one of my old mold and deckles. That's why there's dried pulp on the mesh. So I just simply put it onto the hoop like I would a regular cloth if I was doing an embroidery project. And I'm just pulling all the edges just so I'll have a tighter grip onto the mesh. After a couple of minutes of adjusting, and when you're finally satisfied with how the hoop embraces your mesh, just screw it on. And then just get the inner hoop from the other embroidery hoop that we had. Remember, we had two, and that's the one that you put on top of the one that you have the screen, and then basically you have your improvised mold and deckle. And now you're ready to make your handmade paper that is round using your embroidery hoop. So it is very important to agitate the water so that you have enough pulp suspended on the water and not settling on the bottom. Scoop out some of the pulp and just allow it to drain. After giving it a shake or two, watch as I unveil the round handmade paper. It is absolutely cute. So I press it face down onto the couching sheet and just press it down further with my high density sponge, and it lifts so easily. And the shape is just adorable because they're tiny round things. I can see myself using these as tags The whole experience with using this makeshift mold and deckle is not nothing different. Actually, it's just the similar way as I would regularly make paper, except that the mold and deckle that I'm using is slightly smaller than what I usually use. But with everything considered, it performed its job as a mold and deckle very well. No issues at all. So as you can see, my drying process is the same as well. I put the kuching sheet through a clothes hanger and I just hang it to dry as I regularly would. So I decided to dry this batch of handmade papers just on the curtain rod by the window. It was a very hot day when I was making these papers. Plus, the clothes rack where I usually dry my papers was already full because you really need ample space in between the sheets so they dry faster. One day later. So the next morning, I took down the round papers so that I could peel them off from the kuching sheets. Look at how golden my desk gets in the morning. Actually, it's specific to mornings. Towards the end of the year, I get a gold tinge of sunlight every morning on my desk. And it just looks so pretty as I unravel and show you the results of my handmade paper making process. Plus, the sunlight makes this process more magical because we get that shimmer as the sunlight hits the foils on the paper. If you're wondering, those are gold foil sheets which I added onto the pulp. And I also made it in another color. And this one is in the shade of taupe. I actually achieved this color by adding green to the orangey pink. I will probably share that in a future video. Basically, the whole color process is trial and error, but by now I already have more or less an idea what actual sheets will I need to use to get a particular color. Now we're transitioning from the morning golden hour to regular sunlight. I actually paused the filming to get a cup of coffee from downstairs, and when I came back, the sun was just not in its golden classy state anymore. And oh, this is another step which I just recently added. I press my papers now using this wood press. So again, this one is created by my dad. It was initially intended to serve as my flower press, but then I thought it would make as a good paper press as well. And it did. I'm actually meaning to get a longer bolt because right now it just is about like 3 inches. So I'll probably get a 5 or 8-inch one just so I can press more at one time. I used to just press them in between books, but I found that this way is more efficient, especially if you're pressing more than a handful of papers. So I just stack the papers in between these cardboard sheets. These are actually 8 by 8 inch cardboard sheets. And then I just basically stack them on top of each other, and I just cover it up with the top part of the wood press and just screw it back on. So I just leave the papers on the press for about a day or two, depends really. And then I just unscrew them and I get more flat, or the papers aren't as curled. They are easier to stack after pressing. Actually, friends, that's pretty much it. It is a very straightforward process, and I was able to make these really lovely handmade papers. Thank you so much for watching this video through till the end, and If you have any questions, just drop them in the comment section below. I will try my very best to get back to you as soon as I can. Take care and keep safe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!